Okay. And welcome everybody to the 2024 Formula One Grand Prix of Imola. I'd like to welcome everybody. I'm here with, as course, with a famous Fabio from Fabio and Funk.
Hello.
Uh,
Hello.
Hello, Fabio.
Hello.
It's so good to have you here.
Is that
I'm
infamous or famous?
famous, so
Oh, right.
famous. He's
Yeah.
100% famous. I've known him since the beginning of Fabio and Funk.
Yeah.
So
Really?
there you go. That's very famous.
Very.
And I'm here with not an expert, Lucky Wolfin 7. Hello, Lucky Wolfin 7. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm fantastic. Well,
You're
maybe
excellent
not
as
quite
well.
as good as that, but I'm okay.
Excellent. Well, that is good. Okay is pretty good considering normally
Indeed.
he's Scottish and he's normally in a terrible mood. But anyway, there we go. I'm guessing you've had your porridge today.
Porridge. It was something like that.
Aye, porridge. Morag.
He went from excellent to fantastic to okay in just 10 seconds. By the end of the show, it's going to be dead.
Okay.
All right. It's
You
one
know,
of those
still,
evenings, I take it.
his temper won't have changed much then. Okay, so thank you, Andy. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Andy says, "Yo, good to see you." Okay, so onwards with the show. Basically, here we go. Let me put it up one more time. There we go. This is the FIA's new qualifying idea to spice up lap one of any race. This was basically it. There you go. And I think it's not a bad idea. I think if we've got to do something, it's either this or I don't know, either this or maybe shoot Verstappen or something in a leg. That might even things up slightly. Anyway, I don't mean that. What I mean is Imola race review. Imola, fantastic qualifying session, I must say. There were two things. Two questions we had, and I'm going to put them in terms of a musical device. I'm going to give you a musical device for telling me how it went. The first one is don't Verstappen. Who's going to stop him? We don't know. But it could have been my Sonoda. It could have been my Sonoda, but it wasn't. Although he did very well. A fantastic lap. See, this is the quality we have, Fabio. This is the quality. I've paid another £100 for joke writers this week. So, yeah, there you go. You can expect some absolute crackers today. Speaking of which, pull on that for me, will you? Fabio, pull on that. Okay, there we go. So anyway, yeah, qualifying was fantastic. We had some amazing Hulkenberg putting in an incredible lap as well. Verstappen first, Norris second, Leclerc, Sainz, others, a few other drivers, and then 11th place, Perez, and Perez, as it's officially called, Perez. Really not making Q3, so we were all quite surprised. At the same time, Sonoda, as I say, putting in a fantastic 6th or something like this, 7th, in fact, I think. So yeah, I mean, what can you say? Why they didn't swap Sonoda for the next race with Perez, I've got no idea. But then we've been wondering this for some time. I was looking through our previous, what's the word I'm looking for? Thumbnails, and we started talking about this probably about a year ago now. So it's been roughly a year we've been going on about changing Perez. And then I thought to myself, why don't they change Perez? Because it's so obvious. It's so fucking obvious to anybody who's anybody. And then I thought to myself, oh, I know why. Because he knows things inside. He knows inside. Inside.
Your mic sucks, so you moved your mic.
Okay, there we go. Mike, move back.
Nope.
No.
One,
Your
two,
mic,
1, 2.
your mic crack. So
Mike, bang it. What are you?
yeah, now it's better.
That was better, yeah.
Mike crack.
Yeah.
Testing. Mike crack.
Yes.
Mike crack, testing. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mike Craig says your mic is cracked.
Okay, there we go.
Mhm.
Anyway, back to it. Perez, he knows something. That's all we're saying. So onwards with the race. Verstappen, Norris, basically.
What, you're just going to leave it like that? Are you just going to say
What-
Perez knows something and you're just going to leave it like that? Not even a hint at what he might know? You're not going to
I don't know.
speculate, Paul?
I won't, but go ahead, please. Now you've intrigued me now.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was you that just cut things short there. I thought
Well,
you were
this is-
building up to something.
Yeah, I am building up to something. Yeah,
Okay, fair enough.
I am building up to something. I don't know what it is though. That's the problem. Okay. Anyway, why is he still there? We don't know. We don't know, do we? Let's face it. But he is
may
still
know
there.
something, but you're not saying what he may know.
No, I'm not. I don't know. Well, I'm saying he may know more than the average bear. Certainly more than the average Mexican, which at Red Bull
More than
he's
the,
not.
more than the
he's not
average
saying
South
a lot.
American.
Or South American, if you're if you're from Austria. Indeed, yes, I'd forgotten about that one. Okay, anyway, look, onwards with the race review. 5 lights, 4 lights, 3 lights, 2 lights, 1 light. And they are go! Allegedly. So, yeah, Max Verstappen away into the lead, first corner. Close between Leclerc and Lando. With Piastri hot on the tail of Sainz. And then the two Mercedes. Russell followed by Lewis. Then, of course, there was the unfortunate Pierre Gasly, who was actually given a penalty on Thursday. He's the only person in history to be given a penalty for the earliest thing, even before they'd got onto the track, or literally as they got onto the track, he received a penalty. Don't know if you knew that, Fabio.
Was he?
Yeah, he was. He was given a penalty. It was for being French in a built-up Italian circuit.
Oh yeah. It goes without saying.
Yeah. Okay. So he and Ocon both given 3 group place penalties, and told to use the other restrooms. Anyway, there we go. Just thought I'd let you know. Nicky Hulkenberg did well. I paid 100 quid for this, and you're
Wow.
not even laughing. I can't believe it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. No, I'm laughing inside.
Yeah, I knew
Yeah.
you would be. Knew you would.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nicky Hulkenberg did well. He wasn't French, and yeah, he gave it a good go-to. Yes, come on, was his particular phrase after the start. Well done to him. Alex Albon had a problem. Lap 10 after a bungled pit stop, and then of course there were some adverts. So, do you like bald balls, Fabio?
Do I like what?
Bald balls.
Balls? Not particularly.
I am surprised by that, everybody. I thought Fabio would have been someone who really gagged for bald bulls.
I
And
thought
if
that
you
was it.
do gag for bald bulls, please remember Manscaped, the hairy trimming product, which will give you the desired look around the ballsack area.
Wow.
I thought that was an
So
Italian kind of thing, bald balls, isn't it?
that's what I understood. Apparently,
Yeah.
all of their ladies have bald balls. Okay, moving on. That's it. Manscaped. You need to give your lady a treat. Okay. Alex Albon had a tyre put on badly, and really, as a result of catching one of his bollocks as he was getting into his suit this morning, he didn't use Manscaped. So if you have that problem as well, where you catch a little nip on the old Taj, then for goodness sake, get yourself some Manscaped. Okay, so that was unfortunate, and of course, it didn't make any difference. It's the Williams; it's always going to be at the back. So, oh well. Tsunoda stopping early. Don't know why they brought Tsunoda in early. Oh yeah, because they wanted to ruin his freaking race. That's why. Anyway, Tsunoda in lap 13. Then lap after that, that triggered other people to start coming in. Hulkenberg came in next, and Tsunoda managed to get past him. So at least there was that. Why they're racing against the Haas there, I have no idea. Lap 17, Sergio Perez decides to go off to a beach. Obviously, the Italian beaches this time of year, very attractive, very nice. And so he drove off the circuit into what can only be described as a horrendous amount of stones. And that was something we should be thankful for. Stones at Imola. So yeah, I'm thankful for the stones at Imola. And yeah, and I'm not talking about the stones which you have to use Manscaped for. Then, of course, the Lewis Hamilton Mercedes all then took a travel into the beach while trying to chase down Russell. Then lap 28, more pit stops. Sainz in. Sainz in a little early. We were hoping they'd stay out a little longer. However, there you go. Perez then, lap 40, having taken hard tyres, goes for a long pit stop. And he then comes in and is in for a brief time before going on to mediums and coming out in a good position. What are we saying then? Stroll and other people. Lap 47, it starts happening. Then the clerk in a bid to try to catch them. I think this is unfortunate for the clerk. Also cut the chicane, and his car was clearly a handful. Speaking of which, Lando's car was a hell of a handful as well. As Leclerc started catching Lando managed to get a tow from Hulkenberg in I think it was about lap 43, and in that time, from Zhou I should say, Lando caught by Leclerc. Zhou gives him DRS to Lando, and I think that was the breaking point for Leclerc. After that, Lando got away. His car's still a handful, although it was to come in as he started then catching places hand over fist towards Verstappen at the end, and it came down to something like 0.8 of a second. He was catching Verstappen by. Verstappen drove a fantastic race, didn't panic, just kept to the maximum pace he could, and in the end timed it very well to win the race. Verstappen finally going faster than Lando, lap 59. So there was about 10 to 15 laps where Verstappen was under pressure. Unfortunately, it was too late and he couldn't be caught. So the end result of the race was Verstappen, of course, in first place. Goes without saying, really. Norris, second place. Leclerc, third place. Happy for the Tifosi there. Happy for the Tifosi. Piastri, Sainz, Hamilton, Russell. Perez in 8th place from 11th. Not bad for Perez. Stroll in 9th, managing to do it again somehow. And the unfortunate Tsunoda just beating Hulkenberg. I would say that Tsunoda, I feel, was hard done by. He should have beaten both Perez and Stroll, but I think they sacrificed him for an early pit stop. And that is my race review. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Fabio, who is Italian and knows everything about this circuit, and is going to tell you the names of all the corners.
Yeah.
Over to you, Fabio.
By the way, the Rolling Stones never played in Imola. The Pearl Jam played in Imola, and AC/DC played in Imola, but not the Stones. So there were different Stones. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean the race in itself was quite, well, I would say boring. Nothing really happened. The weekend as a whole was a little bit more interesting. Red Bull wasn't working at the beginning of the weekend, so that is one thing. Verstappen managed to grab the pole position thanks to Hülkenberg, basically, which gave him a long draft. He got, I think, 0.4 of a second on the straight just because of the draft. And he managed with that. He managed to make the pole position. Good for him. But other than that, the race was quite uneventful. There were something going on with Perez trying to get over people because he qualified 11th. But then as you said, went for a stroll on the beach. Alonso tried to do something, his brakes were on fire. I mean, they were not working really well. But yeah, the only thing which happened, so first of all, I think something which didn't happen in Imola, which was quite unheard of, is we didn't have any safety car or full course yellow, whatever the fuck. So that is something. The other thing is the mistake that the strategy mistake that Ferrari made with Sainz, basically giving Piastri the position, and that was pretty much it. It was quite interesting at the end because it is true that Verstappen won, but he only won by half a second on Norris and 7 seconds on Leclerc. Now, I mean, if we go, you don't need to go a year, but if you go like a few months ago, easily the second and the third would have been like 40 to 50 seconds from Verstappen. So, and that is a track, that is a Red Bull and McLaren track. So that was quite interesting. The other interesting thing is that we probably have an answer to how good the Red Bull is and how good Verstappen is. Now, granted, Perez is not the best driver ever, but it's not, it's not a Logan Sargent, So the fact that he qualified 11th and he had such a bad race, I think it shows that, this Red Bull, at least at this moment of the championship with those tracks, is not the unbeatable machine that we've seen the previous years, first. And the second one is that Verstappen really is a world-class driver, because I think there is a lot of Verstappen in his winning the race last Sunday. So, having said that, you mentioned the Perez and the Tsunoda thing. Tsunoda's agent is an Italian-Japanese guy named Mario Miyakawa, and he said that he has been seen talking with Helmut Marko in the weekend. Apparently, the position of Red Bull right now is that they will take a decision in the summer. So they're working on that angle, but that is the official position of Red Bull right now. So they're saving everything for the summer. They will probably say something, and yeah, that's it. Other thing which happened in the weekend, Ferrari brought some updates. McLaren brought it the last race. Something was brought by Mercedes and I think by Aston Martin. The updates for Ferrari, they seem to work. At least the car still has a good balance, so they didn't get back, which is, in these days and age where you bring updates to the track and you don't have time to properly test them. The fact that the car doesn't work worse than before, it is already something to be happy about. So it seems to me that they're on the right track. Ferrari declared that most of the updates were focused on downforce. So Imola was probably not the best track, to see if those updates really work. Of course, the next one is going to be Monte Carlo, which is another, crappy track. Maybe we will be able to see if those things really work from the next race in Canada. But we'll see. At least it's not worse than before, so that's a good thing. Talking about tracks, it is really sad to see how a very good track, and when I say good, I mean like driving the track, like Imola, has become basically another Monte Carlo. It is almost impossible to pass, and this is something that we see more and more in way more track, the farther we go on. And it's not a problem of the tracks. It's not a problem of the ground effect of the cars. The problem is that those cars are fucking huge. They're really big. And you can't widen the track. So the track seems really, really tight. But it's not that the tracks are getting tighter, it's the cars that are getting wider. You only have to watch, races from the 90s or, stuff like that, where the car, were, smaller, to see how wide the track is compared to those times and how narrow the track is now. So there's something...
Or Sebastian Vettel driving around in his number 8 McLaren, for instance.
Yes, I was going to mention that because, yeah. The other thing which said, the error of the strategy of Ferrari. Funny thing is that they made a mistake with Sainz, and the reason why it's funny is because Leclerc changed his race engineer this weekend. So you would expect if some mistake would have happened, it might have been on Leclerc's side, and actually it happened on Sainz's side. So
Could you just mention, Bub says, love to see Tsunoda with Red Bull giving Max a challenge.
Yeah.
Mention that?
Yeah. No, I said, there are serious talks about bringing Tsunoda in Red Bull. As I said, his agent is a Italian-Japanese guy called Mario Miyakawa. And he's working on it. He's been talking with Helmut Marko this weekend. But the position in Red Bull is that they're going to make a decision or they're going to say something in the summer. So it's a little bit early for that.
Okay.
Yeah, you mentioned really quick, there was another thing quite interesting. This year was 30 years from the death of Ayrton Senna and Roland Ratzenberger in Imola. And there were some, some things which happened, before the race, mostly because of Sebastian Vettel. He made a race, the day before on Saturday with all, the drivers and the journalists. They stopped at the Tamburello corner, where there is a statue of Senna and all that stuff. And also on Sunday before the race, he made, I think, 4 or 5 laps with the MP4-4 from Ayrton Senna, which, by the way, that car belongs to Sebastian Vettel. He bought it, so he he made a couple of laps with a fantastic helmet. It was that helmet was half Ayrton Senna helmet and half Roland Ratzenberger helmet, and he also showed, during the lap, the two flags, the Brazilian and the Austrian flag. So it was really touchy. The guy was really. It was really heartfelt, by everybody. So they, that reminder of Ayrton Senna was really something. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much it. Unless I'm forgetting something, I'll be sure to jump in again.
Okay,
Cheers.
thank you, cheers, thank you so much for that. Good point, very tender words and poignant words about Ayrton Senna, of course, 30 years anniversary, and from that tragic day. Over to you, Lucky. How did you find, after this tragic reminder about Senna there, how did you find the race?
Well, it's a tragic reminder of Ratzenberger and Senna, as Fabio mentioned. He's always the forgotten man from that weekend. It's poor Roland Ratzenberger. However, we'll move on to things slightly less sad. Of course,
Only slightly. Only slightly. Because, of course, yes, we're going to go to the reportage Le Sergeant and the death of his career.
Yes, indeed. The end of his career. It may well be a disaster of a weekend for Logan Sergeant. Didn't even, well, in the official results, it shows him as did not finish qualifying. I think it should have said did not start qualifying rather than anything else. Finished 17th in the race. It was another fucking disaster. And to add to his woes this weekend, Team Principal announced on Saturday that they are talking with other drivers as a replacement for Mr. Sergeant. He wouldn't name any names. However, names that have been bandied about are that young Antonelli guy.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, Carlos Sainz, Valtteri Bottas.
Not a chance for Carlos.
No way.
Well, no, I don't think that happened either.
And not a chance for Valtteri either, looking at how good he's doing in the Kick Sauber. By the way, just a quick reminder there that, in fact, we are on Kick now. Okay, we are on Kick now. Okay, there we go.
There you go.
Please remember to like and subscribe as well. Sorry, go ahead, Lucky.
Sorry. Where were we? Yes, so other drivers are being spoken to. I think it's very near the end of the road for Mr. Sergeant, possibly even this year before the season ends. They might find a replacement for him. But if he's with that team next year, perhaps there would be a God, because it would be a miracle.
Yes, there you go.
So that's Logan Sergeant and his adventures, continued adventures in Formula One, which are about to come to an end, I think.
Finally.
Yeah, we've been wrong about this before, people. So
we have, yes. We all thought Perez was going to go, but
you never know.
He's still there. Although I would say a shoestring is what he's hanging by at the moment. There, Red Bull, despite what he may know or not know.
Yes.
So one thing I think we should certainly mention is qualifying. Top three cars, that was Verstappen, Piastri, and Lando Norris, less than a tenth of a second between the first three.
That's very close, isn't it?
Yeah, it was less than a tenth of a second between the three of them.
Yeah, how close is that?
That's closer than 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, thank you. Less than a tenth, I would have said, but yeah.
Yeah, it was less than a tenth, but anyway, it's less than 0.2. So, when was the last time that happened? Been a long time since we've seen that. Three cars is equal for the pole position. And of course, then Piastri got heaved back 3 places, so Lando Norris ended up in the front row.
Mm-hmm.
What else happened in the race? Well, we nearly had a race at the end, didn't we? If it
Yes.
had gone another couple of laps, perhaps Lando Norris could have challenged, but unfortunately, with only one DRS zone and him not quite getting into that DRS zone, it just didn't happen. But it was a close thing at the end.
I think it
It's
was
the
a little
most.
flattering. I think it was a little flattering. Yeah, I don't think it was as close as all that.
Well, it was
Simply because
less.
I think by the time Lando got to the back of Verstappen, he'd worn his tyres out as well. So but nonetheless, I think
Wait, it didn't
No,
happen, so we can
you
only
never know.
speculate.
I think that Lando has way better chances than people give him credit for, and it's not because he might have been able to pass Verstappen, which I don't think was going to happen. Unfortunately, Imola, even if you are like 3/10 of a second faster, if the guy in front of you doesn't want to make a pass, you won't pass because of the reason we said before. But there is a thing. Verstappen already had a track limit warning, so it would have
Oh,
only taken another one to give Verstappen 5 seconds.
yeah.
So if Norris would have been able to catch Max before and put some pressure, it would not have been able to pass him, but it would have probably force him to make a mistake, and that would have been enough to win the race. So yeah,
Yeah.
you never know.
I think
I
it's also.
actually wrote that into my notes. I wanted to say that. Really, that's the point. The reason I said Max did a really good race, especially towards the end, and showed what a skilled driver is under pressure, is that even with that hanging over, he only needed to make one mistake, and as you say, it's a very narrow track.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't.
Well, it's wide cars. It's not narrow
Yeah,
track. It's wide car. I
yeah.
want to stress that
Compared to
point.
yes,
Yeah.
compared to the other tracks, yeah, agreed. But nonetheless, he didn't, and he kept with his foot down and made no mistakes at all for well over 20 laps straight. So again, shows the class.
There is a.
And let me just say a couple of
Sorry.
things as well, which gets through these. Max had 60 points on Lando. Would it be enough for 17 races to go? Yep, that's a very good question. One can hope that it will be closer than it originally seemed at the beginning of the season. Although, as we get to other tracks, perhaps the advantage that Red Bull has might re-establish. And this one, I haven't read. Max has hampered a lot of the race, having to stay within the lines. Yes, thank you, Bob. Exactly. Showed what
Well,
a good racer he is.
as far as the first question goes, I mean, on paper, yes, and I would be the first to be happy because if Lando has a chance, Leclerc has a bigger chance because he's actually second in the championship, so that would be even better. And we never know. I mean, Michael Schumacher has one less championship because he crashed into the walls and broke his legs. So I'm not saying that we hope that Verstappen breaks his legs, but that's Formula One. It's a dangerous sport. You never know what's going to happen. The other thing I want to tell you on the side chat, I put a video, and it's from 1990. It's a famous one in Imola. It's Mansell and Berger, and if you can just show it for a little bit, it's a very famous video. But you can appreciate how wide the track seems to be with those cars.
He's muted.
I think it's trying
I
to.
can't see it. It's not in the private chat. Where did you put it?
On the private chat on the.
No, I've got nothing.
Nice. No, I've got nothing here.
Okay, I'm gonna say I'm gonna put it again. Maybe
Well,
because.
while you're looking for that, can I just
No,
say?
it's okay.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
There you
What
go.
can I just say in relation to the track? What a nice change it was to see a proper Grand Prix circuit instead of a tunnel made up of advertising hoardings. You can actually see cars going through a series of corners in one camera shot when you go to Imola. You don't have to have a separate camera for the car going into the corner and a car coming out of the corner. You can see the actual action.
I can tell you firsthand it's a fantastic track to drive on. It's
Yeah.
bloody amazing.
Well, in the
It was
Sims, it
it was
certainly is. Yeah.
it was really nice as well. It reminded me very much of the old days of Imola, where when the sun is shining on Imola,
Yeah.
that track looks amazing. And we've had real close racing there before, but this is Imola always used to be a little bit one by one. Anyway, it was always difficult to overtake, but that's
Right.
what made it a challenging track.
Yeah.
And as we'll find out back in the day, if you had cojones, you could do it. Let's
Oh,
have a look.
you got plenty of cojones in that video.
Yeah, and here we go. So let's look at. So, I mean, they didn't have. Remember, they didn't have manscaped back in that day.
No.
So the people had really hairy testicles.
It's also worth pointing out this is the old Imola.
No,
layout.
it's the same one.
Mansell's next
That
crash
part
was
is
with
the same
Berger,
one.
who appeared to try to push him off the road, sending Mansell into a spin at 190 miles an hour,
What a
which he did
recovery.
brilliantly to control. Mansell's trip over the grass had forced debris into his radiator, and a few laps later, it ended a race he thought had been his. With Prost out of touch with the leaders, the Englishman's demise capped the Tifosi's misery.
That's a different layout.
Well, there goes Williams.
The replay showed one of the most dramatic incidents of the season so far. Little wonder there were harsh words between Mansell and his former teammate after the race. Mansell's next
layout.
crash was with
that-
Berger,
Oh, that-
who appeared
that-
to try
that
to push him
specific
off the
part
road,
hasn't
sending
changed
Mansell
a
into
lot.
a spin.
Because
Anyway, there we
if you
go.
remember, there used to be a chicane before the start-finish line, and then of course you had Tamburello without the chicane in the middle of it.
Yeah, but
We went straight across it.
that part is way after Tamburello. It's before the Villeneuve, so it hasn't changed that much in that part. But regardless, I mean, Mansell was able to spin around, and there were plenty of space around, and he just managed to go there. And that's what I was saying before, as how wide the cars are now compared to before. That was the point I was trying to make.
Okay, so let's just catch up. Maximum Sanford, yes, we do. I love casual pirouettes, motors blowing up, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, those days. Okay,
It should
Lucky.
be worth
Anything?
noting,
Go ahead.
well, one thing I was going to say, that there was no safety car in this race. So this was a straight fight between Norris and Verstappen. There was no artificial bunching up of the cars because of a safety car or anything like that. So it was a straight fight that ended with a 1 second victory from Verstappen. So I think, as Fabio said, all credit to Lando Norris.
Yeah, absolutely. He certainly pushed the car as hard as he could. And what the difference was very strange, because when he was staying just ahead of Leclerc, he was all over the shop. The car was literally looking like a bucket. And yet another 10 laps later, and his car's on rails. So again, going to show that these Pirelli tyres are very difficult to get into the window. And even when you do have them in the window, they don't want to stay in the window. So
that is
interesting.
okay. So that is partially true. The other thing is that the cars right now, and I'm thinking about Red Bull, but I think that McLaren is in the same position right now, a little bit less Ferrari. It seems to me that those cars are really peaky in terms of setup. So it's not just the tires, it's that the cars too, they seem to work only in specific conditions. I mean, case in point, if you look at the times of Leclerc basically had a fantastic race. He basically raced all the laps like in 120 low. Okay, it was super consistent, and it was a fantastic good pace. While Lando and Verstappen too, there were some points that were struggling to that, because the cars are a really bit more, as I said, they're a little bit peaky. They're really, really finicky, if they're not, in the perfect spot.
Yeah. And most of the teams have been complaining about how difficult it is to keep the tyres in the window. And most of them have said the windows are very narrow with this year's
Yeah.
tyres. So I do think that it's the characteristics of the Ferrari this year being good on tyres has really played into the hands of Ferrari. And I think later on in the year at certain circuits, we're going to see that pay dividends, Singapore being one of them. So, yeah, I think that there may well be some tactics which can be played. I feel maybe even Monaco could be a little bit like that, although traditionally not that hard on tyres. I do think that the difference between the teams is what it's going to come down to. And as I say, like with the Mercedes, which just seems to be overheating its tyres left, right, and centre, I think this could pay dividends.
A very quick point I want to make. It's going to take only a couple of minutes because there are some people they mention about the fact, why don't the two cars make different strategies, so they test different things in the free practice, like I don't know, medium tires and white tires or whatever, that kind of stuff. Specifically last Sunday, there were a couple of things. So first of all, Red Bull, that car on Friday wasn't working at all. So if the car is not working, you don't look, to split strategies or to see, if one you try one driver with one set of tires and another one with another setup or whatever. Because if the car doesn't work, you just make the car work. So that wasn't the case for Red Bull. It wasn't the case for Ferrari because they brought a lot of updates, so they had to gather data, and you don't want a driver with a setup and another driver with a totally different setup, because you're trying to figure out if those updates are really working. So again, Ferrari is out of the question too. The only one which they actually did, which was in the position to do that, was McLaren. McLaren I think on Friday and Saturday, Piastri ran more with the hard tires and Norris with the yellow tires, if I'm not mistaken, or the other way around. But the reason was that they already had the updates last race, even if it was only Norris. Now they got the same updates on Piastri. They were in a good position to figure out different setups between the two drivers. So that's I just want to point that out because it's something that people mention every so often.
Yeah, I think Norris showed what a class driver he is. He seemed to be a lot more consistent throughout the weekend, and managed to actually do the tests that were needed. Piastri seemed to struggle to get those tyres where they needed to be on the McLaren. Whether that was because he was doing an old strategy or not, I don't know. But nonetheless, Norris was straight in there and able to get heat into his tyres. Something he's been known to do in the past as well, to get his tyres into the working window very quickly.
Can I just say one quick thing?
Yeah,
overall, about McLaren, I was way more impressed with Piastri than with Norris. Way more. Considering the fact that Piastri has never seen Imola. Like, never. That was his first time on Imola. And, the fact that he was there, yeah, I mean, wow.
Yeah. He hardly put a wheel wrong, even in first practice.
Yes.
So, yeah, you're right, actually. That was a very impressive drive. Whether he was building up to it slowly or not, I don't know. But Max made a mistake early on in practice. Max had a terrible set of practices, really.
Oh, yeah.
He was all over the shop, went off several times.
The car was all over the place, so, yeah.
So, again, amazing that they can just, and I can't remember who it is that there is the sim driver back in the UK.
Buemi, Sebastian Buemi.
Was it Buemi? Okay, and
yeah.
There's another one as well.
Sebastian Buemi. I think I don't think he's French. I think he's from Belgium or stuff like that. I might be wrong.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, never mind.
Well, everything but the French. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Now I got to see. Maybe it's French.
Yeah. There is another one as well. The one I was thinking of. But anyway, that's okay. But just to say, second.
Oh, he's Swiss.
Switzerland.
Okay, he's Swiss. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, is he? Do we know? A lot of people say they're Swiss. Anyway, look, I think
Maybe
Yeah,
that's
so
his bank account.
for them to come with a fully re-updated car and throw Max in live again, right, without any practice, just change the car setup over Saturday night, ready for Sunday. Again, shows Max's class, really, his ability to drive virtually anything. And he complained, like for half the race, he was complaining about his car still. So I don't think they had a perfect setup. And again, showing the dominance really of Red Bull. So I don't think we're going to, even with the great updates and stuff that McLaren are putting on, I don't think they're going to get anywhere near Red Bull. And as for Sainz being able to catch Verstappen before the end of the year, I don't think that's the case either. So there we go. That's my 2 cents worth.
Can I just
Lucky,
correct
is there
you?
anything you wanted to say before we move it over to the outros?
Well, I wanted to correct you slightly and said
Please do.
the number one Red Bull, not the Red Bulls. Because
Thank you. Yes,
Perez,
that is a pertinent
Perez
correction.
put on a pretty bad show again this weekend.
Well,
However,
again, I'm just sorry on that exact point. I'm wondering, did Max get the change right, and then Perez went, well, I don't want Max's setup. I'm going my own way, and he stuck with what he'd already found, which was at least some of the correction. I just wonder.
Well,
Go ahead.
The question I was going to ask is, what about Danny Ricciardo this weekend? He qualified ninth, I believe, but the race didn't go quite so well for him. But he seems to put on a better show in qualifying than Perez ever seems to do at the moment. But in the race, it all seems to fall apart. What do you think is going on with Danny, guys?
Yeah, I don't know.
Lack of track time, maybe?
Well, I mean, I think lack of commitment to a lower team, to a lower quality car. I think that, and getting his ass handed to him by Sonoda doesn't help either. So I think his motivation's right down. And like I said, he's branding. Okay, last question here. If Max gets pole again in Monaco, it will be a record for the ages. So we should mention that, Fabio.
Yeah, it's going to be the what?
19th. He's still got 18, which is the same as Senna. So 19 would make him record holder.
Yeah. Okay, 19th, did you say?
Well, he's had 18, which is the record the same as Senna had.
Okay.
So if he gets a 19th, if his next race is a pole, then he has the record.
Okay. There you go.
Yep.
And so that will be a record for the ages. And not a lot of people are gonna think that. But again, having a dominant car like this, not just a dominant car, but a dominant car in which he is the only driver that is capable of getting pole, and they wouldn't let the competition go that any other way anyway. I think it helps. I remember Schumacher with Massa, and the gloves were off between them in qualifying, but of course Schumacher, very rarely, maybe once or twice in his whole time with Barrichello rather, and Massa lost pole. So yeah, clearly something that Max just has speed. So yeah, and I'm guessing just from the kind of numbers that he puts up there, he too has bald balls. If you need bald balls, remember Manscaped. Okay, there we go. Okay, Bob. Yeah. Oh, no, I've already done that one. I thought there was another one down there. Yeah, so anyway, Monaco is next. Monaco is in a 1 week's time. Fantastic. Just to mention as well, also, that I think the cars around Monaco, Fabio, if you think they're bad around Imola, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be terrible around Monaco.
Well, I mean, yeah, but no, the thing I was saying before is that Monaco has always been like that.
Yes.
We know that. Imola has become like that. The same with like Hungaroring has become like that.
Hungaroring, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even well, I mean, they haven't raced for a long time, but even the Zandvoort has become like that. They're all position
Singapore.
tracks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So yeah.
Okay, Bob says, I think it's the consecutive par, 8 consecutive poles. Yeah, I thought as much. Thank you very much. It's put him on par with saying a ninth will get him the record.
Yeah,
So
that's the record I was thinking of.
yeah,
So yeah.
me too. Still, there we go. That's great. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to pass this on. Thank you very much, Bob. We're now going to do a bit which needs your we're going to need your help, Bob, which is our special section called Quiz or Myth. So I'm just going to press the sound button for the track. Quiz or myth? Myth or quiz? Is it a quiz? Is it a myth? It could be a myth and a quiz. Over to you, Lucky.
Or it could be something else. In fact, it is going to be something else. We're going to have the quiz, and we're going to have 2 short sections after that that we're going to come to. However, we'll start off with the quiz. We're into round 7 of this year's Formula One Intercontinental Trivia Challenge. The scores are still 2-all after round 6. So the question today is going to be, at the 1989 Canadian Grand Prix, that's 1989 Canadian Grand Prix, Alessandro Nannini and Nigel Mansell were both black flagged. They were black flagged for the same thing. What was that thing? First to shout gets the answer, gets the point rather.
Nannini and Mansell.
So it's the 1989.
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yes, of course. 1989 Canadian Grand Prix.
Yes.
Okay, 2 drivers, Alessandro Nannini driving a Benetton, and Nigel Mansell driving a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were both black flagged. Why were they both black flagged? And it was for the same reason.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Let me just say, before you both answer, it was a strange start to the race because it was kind of wet and it was kind of dry, and people weren't sure what they were going to do. However,
right, okay.
However,
Black
there was
flag.
a reason that, there was a reason they were both black flagged.
Oh,
What
okay.
was that reason?
Okay, maybe I have it.
Okay, go ahead, Fabio.
I think I remember. They put different tires, so like wet on the back and dry on the front, or vice versa.
You're with tires. You're along the right lines. Okay. Let me just say that. Okay?
I thought it was that they still had somebody on the grid changing the tires.
Oh yeah,
during the
that
5.
too happened.
But I don't know.
Between the two of you, you've kind of got the answer. I'll give you one more guess each, okay?
Well, that's half point each, surely.
Yeah, right.
No.
We don't like second guesses. Hang on, let's see if Bob's got it. Bob, do you know?
Bob remembers that?
Nannini 88, Mansell and Nannini disqualified for what reason?
I mean, and also because I can think of a match between the two things that me and Simon said. I can't think what might have happened.
No idea. Bob has no idea. So what was the answer, please?
Okay. As I said, the track was damp and dry and wet, and people weren't really sure what sort of tire they were going to go onto. So the cars went off in the formation lap. As they came around to line up on the grid, Nannini and Nigel both tore off into the pits to change tires.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which they duly did. However, when they left the pits, they both thought that the race had already started.
Oh, you're right. They started in front of the old pack. You're right.
That's exactly what happened. the two of them went shooting off down the road while the rest of the cars were still actually forming up on the
Yeah.
grid. So they were half a lap ahead of the rest of the pack when the pack started.
They were faster than the light. You're right. Fuck me. I
Yep.
remembered that. I totally remembered that.
Okay.
That was super funny. Yeah.
Well
So
done. Okay, well done.
as a result of that, the two of them were both obviously black flag for jumping the start by a country fucking mile, and that was the '89 Canadian Grand Prix for Nannini and Nigel, both spent back in the motorhome in the pits.
Well, okay. Thank you so
So
much.
again, that's why I said it was a tire thing, as you both said. It was a kind of mishmash between the two, but that was what happened, and that's the trivia question. Unfortunately, nobody got it this week again, so the score's still 2-2 after 7 rounds. Anyway, moving on from that, I promised to tell you how the Italian car industry scarred me as a young child. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is
I'm going to mute up for this.
The first thing I'm going to do is put a photograph of a car into Discord, and Fabio has to tell me what that is. If you want to,
It's a
stick it up
Giulia.
on the screen. Okay, you've got to give me more than that. Give me more than that.
Can
Oh,
we
well.
just let everybody else catch up a moment, please?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, there we go. And share that. Share screen. There it is. Oh, I know. I recognise it now. That's a piece of shit.
It's a Giulia GT.
Yeah, that's absolutely terrible colour.
Well,
I'd never buy that car.
Yeah.
It's actually a
Alfa Romeo,
1600.
of course.
It's a 1600 GT Junior. Is what it actually is.
No. That's not a Junior.
That is a 1600 GT Junior.
That
Okay,
is not a Junior.
hang on a minute.
A
Hang
million
on a minute.
I'm pretty sure it's not a Junior
Well,
Okay,
I
why do you
beg to
say
differ,
that's not a
sir.
junior?
because the grill is different.
No.
Okay, interesting. If you could
The
just find a picture of the
1300s
junior grill.
Yeah.
Excuse me,
here.
hang on a minute.
I gotta
Hang
find
on
it.
a minute, Lucky. You'll get
Let
your
me
chance.
explain.
No,
Let me
you'll
explain.
get your chance. We need to see the other evidence first.
A
And then you can
1300
explain.
Junior only had 2 lights across the front. The 1600 Junior came with either 2 or 4 lights across the front. Now, that car there, let me just preface this slightly. As Simos will tell you and agree with me on, in the
I doubt
70s, when I was a young lad and car daft,
Yeah.
cars that we had in the UK were fucking dire. They were absolutely horrendous. We had Austin 1300s and Maxis and stuff that came from France was like the 2CVs, Citroen Amis. Germany were still making the Beetle, for fuck's sake. The only decent thing that ever came out of Germany at that time was the CSL lightweight coupe homologation special. However, there was one country that produced really nice cars, and that was, of course, Italy. And when I was 9, I came walking home from school one day, and I found a car exactly the same as that yellow one sitting in my driveway that my father had just bought. Okay? And later that same year...
Runs in the family, people, just to say. Runs in the family.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So later that year, by the way, that is one of the prettiest cars ever made. Ever. Now,
Well, kind of. I think they copied it from like a Herald. Don't you think?
fuck off. Fucking Harold. Fucking Harold. Now, later that same year that we got that car, I spent 2 weeks in Italy on holidays. And of course,
I
was seeing
see.
all these fucking brilliant Italian cars. Things like that, things like Lancia Fulvias. I saw a Zagato-bodied Lancia Fulvia. And if anybody knows what a Zagato-bodied Lancia Fulvia is, it's a thing that you would take to bed and hug. It's so pretty. So anyway, I loved Italian cars. My dad had one. It was an Alfa Romeo. But
Mhm.
the neatest thing that I would ever see in motorsport was the local round of the British National Rally Championship. And that British National Rally Championship, one year had, let me find a picture of that for you to pull up. Why is Discord freaking out? No, we want to go for open here. Let me find this fucking picture. As I said, it had the first car entered was this car here, which I'm about to put into Discord. I should be more prepared for this. Sorry.
No, come on.
There we go. If you,
What do you think this
it's
is?
coming, it's coming, it's coming.
I spent
It should
£100
be
on the
there.
script writer this week. We don't need to be more prepared.
There you go. It's coming. There we go. So anyway,
Yeah, no, I know. That's what
this
she said.
car, this car that's about to come up, which is a Lancia Stratus, was the first car on the road on our local round of the local rally, the British National Rally Championship.
Right.
That car there, which is, of course, a Lancia Stratus. So here am I, Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, on the first stage of the rally, standing with my two brothers at the first real corner of that stage. And we hear this Lancia Stratus coming down the road. And I'm jumping up and down excited because it's a Lancia Stratus.
Yeah.
And this Lancia Stratus came into the corner, the back wheels locked up, it went sideways off the track and down a fucking 8-foot ditch.
Oh.
The diff had broken. And that was what I got to see. My dream car from Italy, a Lancia Stratus, went into a ditch sideways at 50 miles an hour, and that was the end of the rally for it.
Yeah.
So my heart was broken by Lancia Stratus.
Do you know who was driving it that day?
Yes, it was Andy Dawson.
Andy Dossie.
And Andy Dawson, he was more famous for driving Nissans in the British Rally Championship, actually.
And never driving Stratos again. I think he was also famous for that.
Well, he didn't do much Stratus stuff after that, but he'd actually won the
Funnily
previous
enough.
round of the championship, which was, I think, the Pirelli International or something like that
Okay.
in those days.
Jolly
However,
good. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
However, the one redeeming factor was that the next car along was an Escort driven by Ari Vatanen.
The great Ari Vatanen.
If you don't know who Ari Vatanen is, Ari Vatanen was Colin McRae before Colin McRae was even born.
Although from a different country, but yeah.
He was from Finland, indeed. However, the next car along, as I said, was Ari Vatanen. Now, by the time he got there, the spectators had kind of pulled the Stratus out of the ditch, and it was on the track, taking up like 2/3 of the track. So Ari Vatanen came along, into the corner, flat out sideways, saw this Stratus sitting in the middle of the road, and just steered round it, went down into the ditch, and went fucking shooting off down the road with never lifting off yet. And Ari Vatanen became my hero that day.
Yeah.
And that was the one redeeming factor.
Okay. Yeah, you got to see the great Ari Vatanen.
Well,
driving his little heart out.
the thing was that the headquarters for that rally was less than a mile from my house. So what I did was I took that month's copy of Motorsport magazine and I went up to the hotel and got autographs from as many drivers as I could. And that included Vatanen and Dawson,
Wow.
Jimmy McRae, that's Colin's father,
Yeah.
Tony Pond, Penty at Ricola, lots of guys like that.
Yeah. These are names from my youth. I remember these guys. Yeah.
all
Fantastic.
these kind of guys.
Fantastic. None of them
watched
Formula One drivers, though. I noticed.
No.
No, none of them.
Okay.
The
They
great
were better than that.
there
you for
is a
that.
quote from Walter Rohrl, a great rally driver, and he says that he was in England at the Rack Rally, and he remembers hearing Sandro Munari on his Stratos, and he could hear that car from 10 miles away. So I
Well,
mean, it was uncanny.
in those days, all the cars were pretty much four-cylinder, inline four cylinders, whereas the Stratos, of course, was a Ferrari V6, which made a completely different noise to all other cars. I mean, you knew a Stratos was coming long before you ever saw it.
It was the same engine that was in the Ferrari Dino,
All
the
right,
car
Wow.
okay.
that
Did not
Samus
know
likes a
that.
lot. Yeah,
I
Yep.
did
yeah,
not know that. But
yeah.
do you know?
Dino.
Because I always looked at seeing the Stratuses around on the road. I
Uh huh.
always went, oh well, yeah, they look like a carbon fiber,
Uh huh.
but they've got something to them I like. I don't know what.
Yeah, I
And of
know,
course,
right?
it
Yeah.
was the sound, of course, of the
you,
Stratus going by. And I
you,
thought to myself, I'd love to get one of those. And I said to my dad once, oh, I really want one of those cars. And he went, bloody rubbish! That'll break down before you get to the end of the, you know.
What was
But
unfortunate
but
about the
then
Strat?
but then my dad also said to me that I got this guy to come round. He had a Royal Enfield Cafe Racer from the mid '60s, and he came round, and he was selling it super cheap, and I only needed like an extra £100 or something to buy this thing. And so I said to my dad, "Oh, look, I've got a chance to get this real like classic 175 Royal Enfield like Cafe
yeah.
Racer. Wow, I've got to get it because it's like." And he went, "No, it's leaking. You'll regret buying that." I went, "Of course it's leaking. It's a fucking 20-year-old
Yeah.
motorcycle." Yeah. Anyway, there we go.
At
Sorry.
least you know why those motorcycles leak. It's because you know that there is still oil in that. The problem is
Yes.
that when they don't leak
When they
anymore.
don't leak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and you're absolutely right because I bought a 3TA, a Triumph 3TA,
Uh huh.
and I bought it on the grounds that it didn't leak,
Yeah.
and I never got that engine working.
Right. I mean, see, I mean, those motorcycles. I mean, I'm thinking about even Guzzi and Ducati. The thing with Guzzi, for example, the old ones, is that they don't really leak oil. They just sweat. Because you usually
Yeah.
go out for a ride
Yeah,
and
there
they
you go.
sweat like you do. They sweat a little bit, and that's not oil. It's
Everything
sweat.
expands a little bit, except the
Yeah.
what do you call the thing that you put between them?
Like gasket.
The gaskets. Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you. Anyway, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for that. Is there anything else,
the-
Lucky?
Just to end the Stratos story.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
yeah,
the
sorry.
Stratos it met an early demise in its rallying career. Fiat played politics and got Lancia to drop the Stratos and replaced it with the Fiat 131, which was driven by Walter Roll, by the way, the aforementioned Walter Roll. So the Stratos, it met an early demise to its rallying career. However, Marco Allen did persuade Fiat to give him a Stratos to run in the RAC rally a couple of times. And if you've ever wondered where the saying maximum attack comes from, that comes from the aforementioned Marco Allen, who was an adopted Italian, basically. Stayed loyal to Lancia
Thank
for
you,
many,
Bob.
many years.
We'll see you next week. Thank you, mate.
See you, Bob.
Ciao, Bob.
What? Okay, so moving on, we've got one last thing to do. Okay, this is a one-off special. I put a video in chat there if you could play that when we're ready. And this one-off is going to be called Blind or Stupid. And okay, Blind or Stupid is the name of this. We're going to show you a video, and I want you to tell me if he was blind or stupid. So whenever you're ready, Simos, make sure you've got plenty of volume in this.
I think going around the corner, for me, it was first of all, I didn't see him, but second, outside around the corner, he usually lose ground, so I didn't really expect him to be there anymore.
But, I'm amazed. I actually got in front of him when we were braking a little bit. Oh, no, he didn't see me there. No chance. You gotta either be blind or stupid to not see me, but, it's racing.
So there we go. Was he blind or was he stupid? Answers, please, gentlemen.
Can I just point out the obvious? So we have Michael Schumacher and Juan Pablo Montoya. Okay, so those are not historically the most forgiving drivers ever. So it's, I mean, you either blind or stupid. Yeah, you can pick any one of them. They, if they were in the opposite position, they would have done exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing.
And just to
So,
say that was Schumacher, traditionally famous for being temporarily blind.
Jesus Christ,
Absolutely
this guy.
obvious. Absolutely obvious.
Well, of
However,
course-
go.
no, go on, you go. You go.
Well, at the time, I remember watching it. Obviously, being a Williams fan, I was outraged. But I had to agree that was Schumacher's corner back in the rules of those days.
Yeah.
And that, Pablo was pushing his luck, shall we say? But of course,
Absolutely.
you expect nothing less from drivers back in those
Well,
days.
Oh, yeah.
It was Michael Schumacher driving a Ferrari at Imola. Did Juan Pablo really think he was going to give up a corner that easily? Of course not. It wasn't going to happen. But anyway, what do you reckon? Blind or stupid? Neither or both?
I'll say racers, and that yeah.
I'll go with that.
Yeah, I'll say blind, of course. Clearly.
Yeah, I could say cheating bastard Schumacher because he was, but never mind.
Certainly. One thing, just to point out one thing, Michael Schumacher actually had shaved his testicles even before Manscaped was around, just so he could get into smaller gaps. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. We're going to call the show there.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming by, and I look forward to seeing you all. Sorry, what's that?
I've got a quick question.
Oh, go ahead.
When do I get my Manscaped check?
Good question. I will send you. I'll send you something that you could test the product with. Okay, and then we'll go from there.
You.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
look forward
Thank you.
to that.
I'm sure you will. Very hygienic, but anyway, there we go. Thank you very much to everybody. Thank you for everybody over on Kick, and thank you both for coming by. And we will see you all in 1 week's time for the Monte Carlo Grand Prix 2024.
Is it in 1 week? Jesus Christ.
1 week, yeah.
This is 1 week, yeah. So we get the two. Well, yeah, I think it'll be really good because at least we get Monte Carlo out of the way quite quickly. Although if it's raining, any race can be good in Formula One if it rains.
If you
We'll see. Go ahead. Okay, yeah, you cut out there, Lucky.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be it's gonna be raining, unfortunately.
Damn.
So,
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna have a good summer again here. So anyway, that'll make it quite interesting, I suppose. Not. I can't hear you, Lucky. If there's anything, please type in chat. If not, we're just gonna play the. Oh, you're back.
I'm back.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was quickly going to say that if you want to see good racing at Monaco, last weekend was the historic Monaco race meeting. Watch that, and you'll see plenty of good racing at Monaco.
Yeah,
in Formula One cars,
including our very own Adrian Newey
Yep.
racing, which was interesting to see, and he was giving it loads. So
Zach
yeah,
Brown
that's
was there
nice.
as well, I believe, was he?
That was nice. Yeah, of course Zach was. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
It
good
was-
friends as it goes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
On a
Okay,
Lotus.
thank you everybody. We will see you next week, and take care.
Okay,
guys.
cheers.
Oh,
Ciao, ciao.